Welcome to Heroes and Droids, your guide to movies and TV shows about superheroes, sci-fi, Disney, and action. From Marvel to DC, Star Wars to Star Trek, from James Bond to the Fast and Furious, we will review theatrical films and streaming delights you care about most. This week we're reviewing Obi-Wan Kenobi, Episode 5, titled Part 5. Yes. I'm Doc Rotten. Joining me tonight are the rest of the crew, starting off with Chris Slattery. He's the Slat Man. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you doing, Doc?
Excellent.
Sorry there's no quip today.
No quip. Quipless. All right, also joining us is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Moore.
Once again, Doc, I am just a co-host. And you are too. I don't know.
We are all far game tonight.
Yes. Welcome to the train wreck, part 1. All right, now we are here to review Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 5. We hope you have caught the past reviews. We did them in pairs. We're doing this one as a single, and then we got one episode left. Oh my gosh. We will start out giving you our first impression. That first impression will be spoiler-free. But after that, we'll dive into a discussion. We will get into all the details, and we might even have a full rack of Easter eggs. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And of course, we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. And we hope you enjoy not only this review, but many others we have on the site. And if you do, hit the like, the share, and subscribe. And that will do wonder for us. It's all free, easy to do. And of course, we'd love to hear your comments down below. All right, let's look at the card. Obi-Wan Kenobi, playing on Disney Plus. I don't know why it says episode 3, part 5, but we'll go with it. No, it's episode 5, part 5, June 15th. You know, I read this thing 10 times, and that 3 looked like a 5.
The worst part is that you even sent it to us to look over, and we missed it too.
June 15th, available streaming on Disney beginning May 27th. The entire series, that is. Directed by Deborah Chow, written by Joby Harold, Andrew Stanton, and Hannah Friedman. Based on Star Wars by the one and only George Lucas. The cast includes, but is not limited to, Ewan McGregor, Moses Ingram, O'Shea Jackson Jr., Vivian Lyra Blair, Indira Varma, Maya Esquire, Kamal Nanjiani, James Earl Jones, and one Hayden Christensen. Yes. We'll get to that. All right, synopsis. Obi-Wan plans his next move as the Empire, closing in, tries to draw him out. Yes, that's true. That's what happens. And a lot more. All right, let's give our first impression, starting off with the Slab Man, sir. Give it to us.
I liked this. I liked it a lot. There's a lot of things I like about it, but I can't talk about them because they're spoilery. So it's not, there is 2 moments in this that I think are kind of comical and don't make sense. One of them doesn't make sense from a character standpoint, but it's fine. I don't care. The other one is just like one really kind of awkward editing choice. Outside of that, I think this might be one of the more solid episodes, in my opinion, like script-wise and filming-wise, and just like I was engaged the whole time, and it didn't have a what were we calling it last week? I call it the Austin Powers moment, but what did you call it?
Scooby-Doo!
The Scooby-Doo moment.
Or Little Rascals.
Yeah, or Little Rascals. It didn't have anything like that took me out of it. And I think that this is a great episode, a great a great second to last episode.
Penultimate, yes.
Yeah, it checks all the boxes for me. Yeah, I wish I could say more and go more in depth into things I loved about it, but spoilers. So
yeah, we have time for that. That's why we're here. All right, Christopher G. Moore, what was your first impression of Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 5, part 5?
I think this is my favorite episode so far, and I mean, I think the weird thing, I think the funny thing is, a lot of the naysayers, a lot of people who haven't been enjoying the show, this seems to be their favorite episode, mainly because it sort of checks the boxes on certain things they were complaining about, getting their Star Wars panties in a wad about, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, if that's the reason why people should like it. But I think the things that happen that probably you can consider, I don't know, fanboyish or those elements that people were really hoping would happen. It seems to be that it works for the surface of the story, and without giving anything away, there's flashbacks that sort of relate to current times within the storyline that work well, and it's not, and I think they work a whole lot better than what happened in Boba Fett, to where it's the way this episode plays out is because of that, because of that knowledge of the past and how that knowledge in the past is reflecting in the future and how this battle continues. And so, yeah, I love it. I think I think there's a lot of story elements that sort of better inform why certain characters are doing things. And me and my love of Darth Vader. This has one of the most badass moments that I think is bigger than a lot of other places where Darth Vader has popped up, even in Rogue One for me. Because I think we got to see a little bit of Vader's power in Rogue One, and then through this series, we've gotten to see him at his maximum capacity as a Sith Lord. And damn, I mean, but he also has that kind of confidence that gets him in trouble as well. So, and probably might play into the last episode coming up. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it's got some. I mean, there's literally one moment I jumped off of my couch and cheered in happiness. There's another part that actually got me teary-eyed and crying. So, I mean, there's a lot of strong parts in this. And I think more than anything, also it doesn't shy away from a lot of things that even without giving anything away, with that even Revenge of the Sith didn't take it there. So yeah, it's got some great moments, some memorable moments. And I think this, to me, the strongest part is Ewan McGregor, who is saying, there's moments where he says so much without saying anything, just seeing the way he reacts with his facial expression. And a lot of times it's just close-ups of that expression. And you just feel the agony, feel all the emotions he's going through. So yeah, I really love this episode.
I enjoyed this episode quite a bit. And I watched it twice to make sure of my initial feelings. And we'll get to it in spoilers, but there's some moments in here that I feel are slightly sideways. And then there's some technical things that, I don't know, don't measure up to what we've gotten from Star Wars material on Disney Plus in the past. So, but then there's other moments that are absolutely effing brilliant. Like, or might be not only my favorite scene of the show, but I mean of this episode, but of the entire show. It was just like, wow, that was incredible. So there's a lot to talk about. I definitely have mixed feelings, but they're on the positive side. So don't get me wrong here, but I do have some questions and stuff to iron out, and I'm hoping through our discussion tonight that I can see the error of my ways. That's I'm challenging you all tonight to do that. But let's dive into our spoilers and discussion, starting off with the Easter eggs. Christopher G. Moore, I sure there's plenty.
There's a few. Well, one of the things that people have been pointing out and noticing is that, and just by the naming of the episodes that relate to the different movies. And of course, this episode is the Empire Strikes Back of this series.
So much so.
And so if you look at it, we have Master Padawan training. We have a siege of a base with cannons. We have we have Vader missing an escaping ship. We have the kneeling of a dark side user. We have a shot of an underbelly of a Star Destroyer. And we have a ship that's trying to escape and has a busted hyperdrive. So we have so many elements that sort of relate to The Empire Strikes Back. And of course, it kind of ends on a sort of like, oh, are they going to get out of this situation type moment? So, of course, the big thing that we were kind of hinting at in the very beginning without saying it, but there we get a flashback to Anakin and Obi-Wan right before Attack of the Clones. And so they're actually battling in the same space that the younglings were in the very first episode of this series, where they were practicing. And so, and also it starts with that moment where Anakin looking out to this building out in the middle of Coruscant. You know who's in that other building? A little person named Padme. So, he's still longing for that lady he wants to meet later on and pop out 2 babies with. I don't know why I talk like that. Of course, this is definitely prior to a lot of the big elements that happen in Attack of the Clones, because Anakin still has his human hand. He still has his original lightsaber that was destroyed during the droid factory stuff that happens. Let's see. Leia, they sent Leia into the small space to sort of to fix the issue inside of that. And I wonder where we last saw something like that. I don't know. Grogu being sent inside a certain space by Mando. So we even get little connections to the current Star Wars stuff. Let's see. A lot of people have related to, there's a lot of the fight stuff that happens within the practicing and the dueling that reflect a lot of the different fighting styles. But there's one part where Obi-Wan's defensive stance is basically the same type of defensive stance as Qui-Gon. So you can sort of see how he's learned from his own master and how to defend himself. Roken, when the troopers come in, Roken, his weapon of choice is a bowcaster, just like it looks similar to the one that Chewie had.
Catch that, yes.
Now, let's see. Tala tells a story about the wiping out of Force-sensitive families on Gorel, and Gorel is actually a planet that was on episode of Rebels, episode of Droids in Distress. Of course, we get the use of a thermal detonator, which first appeared and was first termed that by C-3PO back in Return of the Jedi. Let's see. Anakin tells Obi-Wan, admit you're beaten, which is reflective of the moment Vader to Luke saying, you're beaten. So we get sort of a similarity to another Empire Strikes Back moment. Vader using a force to pull a ship down, which is that moment I jumped off my couch and I was like, yeah, because I don't know about you guys. I played the Force Unleashed back in the day, and there's a moment where you use like your force. I mean, the Force Unleashed is a much more non-canon element of Force. It was much more extreme in your abilities, and there's a part in the game where you actually force pull a Star Destroyer from the sky. So but this is a smaller vehicle, but again, that's a nice reference to that. Also that happened, of course, there's a similar thing that happens in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
And also if you've ridden the Star Tours ride at Disney World or Disneyland, one of those segments is Darth Vader's trying to pull your ship. And I think also, I think Clone Wars. I think there's the one where Ahsoka uses her force powers trying to pull a ship too. So it's we've seen it throughout a lot of different elements. But I don't know, that framing of him like a Darth Vader at the bottom and that ship, and he goes doom, and he just rips it open like a freaking sardine can. That was amazing. I can't say enough good things about that. It made me so happy as a Vader stan. Let's see. The Star Destroyer he's traveling in is the Devastator, which is the same one that they used in A New Hope. Just like we got in the safe house in Mapuzo, we also get a wall of graffiti, and some of it's kind of similar, some of it's different. There's a lot of Arabic, and one of those spells out "There is no death," which is actually from a poem of Jedi Order, where it says, there is no death, there is only the Force. That's the second part of that. But of course, there's one Arabic that says, "May the Force be with you." There's one that spells out Jin Altus, which actually was somebody had written in the Mapuzo place, and that's actually a character from the Children of the Force books. There's another one, Corvin Shelve, which is a legend character from the 1993 role-playing game. Tiberius, which there could be a possibility of that being a previous Jedi in one of the non-canon books. Valen Halcyon, which is, of course, we had the same thing in the Safe House wall, and that's a Jedi from the X-Wing Rogue Squadron comics. Rogonda Esmerin, another character from the Children of the Force books. There's another one of the things that says only strength, I think that is. Now the droid that we met him, Mapuzo, who's helping to fight Ned B, I think his name is. He uses a battle droid blaster, the same one they use in the Clone Wars. The battle droids used in the Clone Wars. When Anakin is hacking at Obi-Wan's lightsaber, I don't know if you guys remember something similar when Luke was doing the same. When Luke was doing the same thing when he got Vader, when he knocked Vader down in Return of the Jedi. Also, here's a nice little reflection of similar pieces of dialogue. When Obi-Wan gives his weapons away, Anakin's like, "How are you going to fight?" And it's like, there are other ways to fight. And if you remember in New Hope, when they're flying towards the Death Star, Obi-Wan says, "We can't win, but there are alternative ways to fight." So we get sort of a nice little sort of symmetry or poetry, the same type of rhyming that Lucas is always known for. And last but not least, in the battle, the duel, there's a little bit of the Battle of the Heroes music is played in the midst of that. So anyway, there's a few of the little bits and pieces throughout. Unless you guys have anything else you noticed.
So there's, I'm trying to find the exact source that I saw it on right now, but I remember seeing that one of the droids in the background of this episode was a droid created by a fan that was from a Create a Droid art competition, and it was created for this show from that competition. So that's kind of cool.
Oh wow, that is cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's one of the. It's got like an R2 head and like a battle droid neck and like a big bulgy body or something. It's in the background. I'll try and.
Yeah, I think I remember. I think you see like a bunch of people around it. Actually, I think one of the Easter egg videos I watched, they called it a droid with a badonkadonk because it's got a big bottom to it.
Big butt. Big butt droid.
But my goodness. I just thought that was a really cool little thing.
All right. Well, I mean, just to kind of put the episode in context, it's really very straightforward. Obi-Wan returns to Jabin. Do I have that right? And they have one ship left. They got to get everybody on it and get out. Or they say they have one ship, but there's actually two. And then Vader, of course, and the third sister, who is now the Grand Inquisitor. It's a word to Grand because they find them and locate them.
Briefly.
And basically, it's they're trapped in there, much like the Haas system, and they're trying to get in and get them, and they have to make certain stands, certain sacrifices, and shenanigans arise. So, and that's basically it. And then it leaves us very much like the end of Empire Strikes Back, with our heroes kind of standing there, not knowing if they're going to survive, right? Or don't know where they're going to do next. So it really did. What you said that last week about it, and I was like, oh man, is it? It is, isn't it? But I really felt it with this episode. It was so straight on. So almost all of it I enjoyed, but I do want to bring up a couple things. The first thing is that this felt more like a TV show than any other episode at moments, right? Not when Vader's pulling the ship down. That felt like a movie. But like when the stormtroopers are surrounding the door and everything, it just felt, it just felt like where the camera was positioned and how it was, how the characters came in, even the third sister, Reva, came in, it just felt like a TV show. Now it is a TV show, so that isn't a knock. It's just by comparison, for me, it just felt like, it didn't feel up to it. And I felt like the hallway scenes also felt, budgeted, and maybe there was a budgeting issue. I don't know. But am I putting too much into that? Did you guys notice that?
Go back and watch the Hoth scenes.
Well,
go back and watch the Hoth scenes.
There you go.
And if you look at the Hoth scenes, you could say the same thing about that if you really wanted to go there.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, they really don't. I mean, they have these big screen walls, so they could make it any kind of environment they want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool because we never had like a really sort of a mud planet. We've had all these different other planets, and actually you can sort of see it when they send those two ships down. Mm-hmm. You can sort of see parts of the planet where like mud is just draining into big mud puddles. But yeah, I don't know. I think sadly, I think we're kind of spoiled.
Well, I think Mandalorian certainly did spoil us.
Well, it does, but I mean, I could easily go say that there's scenes in the Mandalorian that seem like, I mean, I think there's parts in Mandalorian I could say here, well, that looks like a TV show. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I think the thing is, like, if you look at like the newer films compared to the older films, the newer films make the older films look like TV shows. I mean, so I don't know. I think I'm at a point now where I try not to be so nitpicky about it, because I think it's easy to sort of do that and get pulled out of just focusing on the actual story. I mean, for me, the only thing I had an issue with had nothing to do with that kind of stuff. I even kind of like I felt like they found that right midpoint of de-aging Owen. Ewan McGregor,
they still look like a 4-year-old.
They still looked older. They still looked older than their characters, but it wasn't like where it was like, in like the movie Brazil, where they just stretch your skin back. It didn't feel like it was plasticky, and I think like that. But I think my issue, or I don't know if it's an issue, the only thing that kind of like, I think the whole. I mean, most of us sort of knew where the Reva thing was going. Mm-hmm. You don't show these younglings and to sort of not, there's got to be some connection to that. But I almost feel like it would have been better if the moment where Obi-Wan had talked to her, if he told her like, yeah, Darth Vader is Anakin, mm-hmm. or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. I just felt like, it felt kind of, I don't know. I felt like the whole thing was off, even though I love that battle between her and Vader. I think that battle is amazing, where he's just using his force powers and not even using,
not even draw his lightsaber
weapon. Yeah,
at all.
But I don't know, something like that. I think that was the only thing that kind of threw me. But then at the same time, the more I reflect, the more I like, maybe I shouldn't be so nitpicky on things, because there's a lot of holes in the original trilogy. There's a lot of holes in Star Wars in general that I shouldn't be so. I mean, even I was like, I don't know, why would you send Leia into this? It's like, we need to give Leia something to do, so we're going to send her into this hole above everything.
To be fair, she volunteers.
She does. But I didn't really see her as being a person that understands technology that well.
Yeah.
You know. But I don't know. There's little things like that that kind of like, I'm not so sure, but yeah, I mean, I mean, yeah, I think it's easy for us to sort of nitpick or look at these things and compare them to like the movies and stuff. But also sometimes the movies look too plasticky because it's so CGI heavy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, at least, I mean, compare this show to the prequels where they had CGI stormtroopers.
Oh yeah.
It's CGI clone troopers for no reason. I mean, here we actually have real troopers, people in real. I mean, to me, that makes it more real, more movie than the actual prequels were that were just so CGI heavy.
Yeah. Okay, so there are a couple moments that bother me. They're there for reasons, but Haja really bothered me in this episode. Kamal and Johnny, like the whole "I'm not a babysitter" dialogue. I was like, dude, that's just stupid. And then the whole the Senator Bail Organa spilling. Why did he say everything? I don't get. Oh my god.
That is the one thing that I alluded to, that like the one character thing that I just felt like made no sense whatsoever, because I feel like Bale
wouldn't do that. He would never do that.
He would never compromise. It's a little too convenient for the story that he would choose now to compromise the location of Luke, or to be like did he find out about the children or something like that? Like I don't know, that one kind of I feel very weird about, but at the same time, I'm willing to look past it because, like Christopher said, there's plot holes everywhere. Nothing is going to be perfect. You just have to appreciate it for what it is. And I do appreciate it for what it is. One thing that I did not appreciate for what it was was the scene with the little droid and Leia, where they obviously dubbed Leia's lines over it. And it was so awkward.
I didn't even notice that.
I didn't even notice it either. Wow.
Yeah. It was like the movements of her mouth and like the move, like they cut perfectly because she was probably saying one thing and then they had her redub the lines and it didn't sound right. It just that scene took me out for a few seconds, and that was like the one very awkward moment that I felt like this episode had. For me.
That's interesting. Usually I'm the first person to pick that as somebody who edits stuff, and because it actually happens in movies a lot. I think there was a movie I just saw recently. Yeah, I think it was the new Jurassic Park film. There's one part where the audio is totally different than what they were saying, and I could sort of tell because like when your mouth's moving like a certain way and you just say like two words, like okay, no. That doesn't cut well, or like just the editing issues of where their face is different ways or their eyes are looking different.
I saw speaking the same thing like ADR there was a Joker. We watched the Joker movie, Oscar award winning movie, right? Joker. And there's two times when people are talking and the volume of the sound is just off. It totally different range, different sound, different echoes than the speaking before and after. It really was like, wow, where did that come from? And I hadn't noticed it before.
Yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes when you're trying to create something and you're trying to finish it, it's like, oh well, this is, we need this specific shot for it to look a certain way for it to edit to this other shot. So you just sometimes you have to sacrifice quality over story.
Like nobody's gonna notice. Nobody's gonna notice.
And I think Star Wars has gotten away with it, especially recent Star Wars, for so long because a lot of the characters aren't human. Like if you've noticed, or they're behind a mask when they talk. So it's like an alien, you don't really notice it when they're dubbing. Or if it's Din Djarin, he's in a box talking into a microphone the whole time. He's not talking like on set, so it doesn't really it's hidden very well. But this is the first time I think I've noticed it in a Star Wars property. So in the past multiple years. So props.
There you go.
If this is the only one that they have for a long time, I think I can look past it, and I still love can still love it.
You'd be surprised how often that happens to where it's like they're saying something else in another scene, but that edits a little bit better with stuff they're saying earlier. I do that a lot where I'm editing, and sometimes you can hide it. You can do that illusion of it, that magic trick of it, but sometimes it's kind of very glaring.
So did we learn today that only Qui-Gon Jinn dies to a lightsaber to the gut? Because I don't think Reva's dead yet either. Do you?
No. Well, so you have to think about it. Dark side users, for some reason, the hatred fuels them. It gives them the power to keep on going after being struck down.
Oh, and it also helps if you were lightsabered as a kid and then they lightsaber you in the same parts when you're an adult.
Yeah.
So you might be able to live past it.
Is that what happened to Reva? Was she lightsabered in the same area?
Go back and look at it. Yeah, she was lightsabered by Anakin.
Yeah, I think it was really cool the way that they acknowledged that he knew that she was the Padawan, like because it seemed like she was trying to not make him realize that or something along those lines, and it was I don't know, I really liked their interactions this episode, and I thought that is it Ingram Moses or Moses Ingram?
Moses Ingram.
Moses Ingram. I thought Moses Ingram was excellent in this episode.
Well, he even calls her youngling.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's like, let me rub some salt in that.
Yeah, not Padawan, wound, youngling.
It's like, damn, like he's burning you and burning you with a lightsaber. But yeah, I mean, it's but yeah, I mean, well, also I heard that the previous Grand Inquisitor, they have two stomachs, so if he got stabbed in one stomach, it's not going to affect the other stomach.
You're just going to use the other one. All right. James Earl Jones still has it as the voice. I mean, just the inflection, the tone, everything is perfect. Hearing his voice, you know,
if it's not the Fraser thing.
I guess it may be, but it sounded fantastic.
Oh, it sounds great.
Oh my God, it sounds great. All right, well, there you go. I mean, there's a lot to enjoy with this episode. There's plenty of Darth Vader in it, and especially in the latter half. He gets to do some visual treats, and then we have a lightsaber battle, and he I love that. All right, Reva, your timing was not great. Let's just put it that way. You really need to learn this sneaking up on people's stuff if you're going to do this. But we'll get there. Let's do this. What was our final thoughts? Our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. Slapmancer, you are up first.
Yeah. So outside of the one technical hiccup and the one weird character decision, I thought this episode was solid front to back. It was just fun. It was tense. It was well acted. It was I thought the sets looked great. And I thought that it was I thought it was engaging, and it clicked all the boxes for me. And I feel like this was the best performance we've gotten for Reva, and it finally feels like everything that we've been kind of talking like throughout this series of like a lot of people online, and I think someone on the podcast has said it before. It's like, I know that her moment's coming. Mm-hmm. I'm just waiting for her moment, and I feel like her moment came, and the justification's there, and it all kind of came full circle and makes sense, and like literally comes full circle from the very first scene of the first episode too. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to see Obi-Wan like be kind of a badass again, or start to get towards the Obi-Wan Kenobi that we know and love from episode 4. Get that confidence back. Yeah, it was solid. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked it so much, I'm going to give it a 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Based on feeling. Yeah.
There you go.
Well,
nice.
It's been a bunch of 4.75s and 4.5s so far, but I feel like this one is just really well done. Good script, good acting, good scenario, awesome Vader moments, awesome Obi-Wan moments. we didn't even talk about this, but awesome self-sacrifice, badass good girl, badass good robot.
Yep.
And just all around, it worked for me. I really liked it. My favorite scene is probably the scene where Obi-Wan goes up to the door and talks to Reva through that. I thought that was very good acting between both actors, considering they weren't face to face. I thought that they were able to emote well and talk and react to each other very well. And I just thought it worked. I liked that scene a lot. Yeah.
I agree with that. Christopher G. Moore, your final thoughts, your score, your favorite scene.
Yeah, I thought it was, I think this episode did such a great job of balancing fan service with, continuing the story and the arc of this Obi-Wan character and understanding all the stuff he went through to sort of get to where he is, and also how this show continues to inform the original trilogy and the prequels, and just how there's certain elements of it, and especially the original trilogy. The moments that are happening here are informing that big, that last meeting between Obi-Wan and Vader in New Hope, and to take like a couple of lines in New Hope and to sort of inform them in a way that adds so many layers to it is kind of cool, and it's going to lead up to this big battle, which I don't know if it's true. Somebody online said it, that the last episode is going to be like an hour and a half. I don't know what to believe, but I'd be okay with that if that's the case. Yeah. But yeah, I think this episode had so many great things in it. I had the Tala. I never thought I'd want to cry for a robot.
I know.
Why was I more sad for the robot than Tala? I don't know what that says about me as a person, but I felt bad for this robot that couldn't even speak, but was being so badass, and then the Tala is sort of the big sacrifice moment. Although those moments where it's like, well, couldn't they just thrown that when the stormtroopers are coming in and just make the tunnel collapse?
But, them, yeah, I know.
But I don't know. That's me. It's easy for us to sort of quarterback after the game's done. But yeah, I think it had some great moments. And then wow, I think the last third of it, when Vader shows up and he does that force pull with the ship, and then he's just like toying with Reva. It's like, you're not as good as me. I don't even have to use a lightsaber against you. I'm gonna break your lightsaber in half and use it against you. How you like that? And then I'm gonna stab you with your own lightsaber. Now look! You didn't even kill this other guy. he's been here all the time. We knew everything was going on. I was like, damn, man, Vader is just like, and then we're just gonna leave you to die, supposedly. But yeah, I mean, there's some really great moments. But yeah, I had a blast with this. I think, and also just as much as people give crap for the prequels, even though there's a lot of people who grew up watching those, it kind of actually brought back a smile seeing the younger versions of Obi-Wan and Anakin again. Seeing that sort of like that friendship and a little bit of rivalry. It was kind of nice to see that, and also the great way of editing what's happening now compared to how they're both almost like reflecting back to that moment, and how Obi-Wan is using that sort of those memories to inform how he's going to react, because this is how Anakin's going to act, because he's going to be so full of himself and so enraged about coming after me. I had to do this. So if anything, I think it's going to be interesting to see what the big battle is going to happen in the next episode between the two, because that's going to be the big learning moment for Vader again, where he was the learner. So yeah, and it gets a 5 out of 5 for me. It's definitely the highlight of this season so far, and it's kind of annoying to see a lot of the people that just been reviewing this stuff and sort of criticizing it and asking for all these things, and then we finally get it in there, like, oh, now I'm on board, or why does the story got to play out, by episode 5? And it's like, just shut up. Get off of TikTok, Soups. I'm calling you out, you idiot. That guy annoys me. Acting like he knows everything. He doesn't know anything. People like that don't need any followers. They just need to go clean their toilet. What? I don't know why I said that. As for favorite scene, it's obvious. It's obvious when he pulls that ship from the air, which I don't know about you guys. I was like, well, it just happens. He just comes in and goes, whoop, and that ship stops, and then just like boom, and then he just tears it out. And it's like, if there had been people inside that thing, they would have been pulled out with the shrapnel on the side of that ship. I mean, it was one of the most badass things I've ever seen Darth Vader do. And I was like, yes, I'm here for this. This is what this is why I'm loving that Star Wars now has this space in TV, so I can see these moments, that we've never seen. We've seen elements of it here and there, but that was such a freaking badass moment, and it made my little geeky heart sing. So that's my favorite part.
So what I got out of that is, after this episode, go look on change.org for Christopher G. Moore's petition to have a full series Darth Vader show.
Oh my God, yes. I will second that, because the best thing about this episode for me was Darth Vader. Just even when he's on, what did you say he was on? Which ship was he on?
The Devastator.
The Devastator. When he's on there and he's like focused, but you can see the deck behind him, and it's just, oh my God, it just really presents that creation, this design for this costume. It's amazing, and it looks great. And yes, I want a Vader episode. I want to see more of his what, I don't know what you call it, but just the way he messes and with people and sets things up. He's like a strategist. He's like playing this big game of chess, and we need to see that. We need to see a whole story with that in action from his point of view, and see how big of a badass he is and what he has to do when he gets into those moments. I want to see it. Do it. I have a feeling they will. I enjoyed this episode. I shared some nitpicks, and I struggled with this. I watched it the second time, and some of the struggles washed away. But the latter half of this episode is so damn good, just the whole thing of it, that I don't really care about some of the little nitpicks. I've always wanted Star Wars television series. I always thought there was a great way, to get more out of Star Wars, instead of having to invest into, these overarching movies, have to do all these big things. There's these little things that we can explore. Not that this is a little thing, but there's like areas and stuff and planets and aliens and other droids and all these things. And this is the third series we've received thus far, and it's a dream come true. And this is another good example of that. I'm not going to boohoo any of this. It's like, they can make little nitpicky things, but at the same time, they are delivering exactly what I want out of a Star Wars TV show. I want the characters, I want the worlds, I want the ships, I want droids, I want lightsaber fights, I want blaster fights, I want to see people on the run, I want to see people having to outthink the other person, and that's what we're getting. It's marvelous. I'm giving it a 4.75. I'm saving the 5 for next week. I'm saving the 5 for next week. 4.75 for me. My favorite moment, as you guys know, Christopher took, but it's not the only favorite moment. There are a few others, and I'm trying to figure out which one I actually want to choose. I kind of. Okay, I'm going to choose this just because I loved how Ewan McGregor said it. So Ewan McGregor, as Obi-Wan, is surrenders himself. No lightsaber, no nothing. This is after there are more than one way to fight kind of dialogue, right? And he goes up to Reva and she's got him kneeling right as a prisoner, and she goes, "I'm going to deliver you to Vader," or he goes, "No, you're not delivering me to Vader. I'm delivering Vader to you." And then that whole conversation sets up, her, twist her motivation to it for, to bring her over to this plan of his, and it does work. Maybe not so great for her just yet. It might work out later, but I just that's Obi-Wan, right? That's what Obi-Wan does, right? Obi-Wan goes in there and just does it like that. And so yeah, if you're going with Obi-Wan moment, that is a great Obi-Wan moment. Of course, Vader pulling down a ship and tearing it into pieces, and then being thoroughly disgusted when the other ship drives away. And it's like,
yeah. Was I the only one that you could see the anger? Even though it's a blank face, you could just see the anger.
I've heard people saying that they didn't do that. I thought they did. I'm with you, but I've watched a couple things online where they thought they could have done more. And I don't. I was like, why? I mean, they said the body language wasn't right. They really criticized it, and now but I'm with you. I'm with you, Slapman.
What?
Yeah.
I don't. I feel like people are watching a different thing than what I really don't understand people being that extremely nitpicky about it. I mean, the thing is, like, somebody pointed out online that now we get to even see more of Darth Vader because of the technology they're using, and because they can actually have reflective things on their lightsabers and stuff to where it reflects in the eyepiece and stuff. So you get to see more of that kind of stuff in the reflection, more so than they were able to back in the past when you didn't have the technology to either insert it or use these magical walls and stuff.
Magical wall.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about, like, what do you think Reva's gonna do now?
Oh, I think Reva's not going to be in the next episode except for a stinger for season 2.
Oh, you think she's going to be at the very end of it? That's interesting.
I think that would be a really interesting way to end it, don't you?
I think she's going to end up on Tatooine, but I think you might be right. It might be at the very end. But
I think she's going to be part of it because she has an arc too. Because she's almost like, she's got to have her sort of turn as her character as well. If it's gonna fall into Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, it wouldn't actually be as rewarding if they just left it with her on the floor. They got to do something with her. I have no idea what it would be.
Yeah, but why would you have her with that kind of knowledge of where Luke is without her doing something involved with that?
Mm-hmm.
You don't end it with that without it's gonna some payoff or some kind of her playing into how the next episode plays out. But also how it is going to be interesting how they do that, because we know how everything plays out, even though I saw that thing Slapman showed us this article, or like, do you think they'll kill off Luke?
I know. Wouldn't that be awesome if they did? It was like,
this isn't multiverse of madness.
This isn't the Luke you're looking for.
Yeah. They've replaced him with the
with a young Mark Hamill. There you go.
Yeah. He's been the kid was CGI all along. We didn't know.
Never really Luke.
Yeah, maybe they have like an alternative Luke there, the same way that Amidala had her guards. So they got some little person dressed up as Luke, and they kill the wrong Luke. But I don't know. I think I'm interested to see. I mean, I feel like with her seeing that, what's the point in her seeing that if she's not going to be?
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting if they pull Luke in the last episode, because correct me if I'm wrong, but in A New Hope, I feel like they play it off like Luke has never seen Ben Kenobi be a Jedi. He didn't know until that episode.
Right.
So it'll be really
old Ben, right? So,
yeah. So it'll be really interesting. Like if does Reva end up like kidnapping little Luke, and then and Obi-Wan goes to save him? Like, how's that? Like, or is it gonna be a one of those things where Obi-Wan intercepts Reva before she can get to the Lars homestead? Or does she not even make it to Tatooine because she tries to do something else with that information and it ends up backfiring on her?
No, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I'm trying to think about like, okay, right, Return of the Jedi. What happened in there? How's it gonna play out?
Death Star blew up. Ewoks.
Yeah, but they're not gonna have Ewoks, are they? Are they gonna end
They
up
could have
Jabba the Hutt.
they can have Wookiees.
little
Because
Wookiees?
originally it was supposed to be the planet of Wookiees in Return of the Jedi, but they didn't have
And
the
then
budget, so they
they
made
had
them
the budget.
Ewoks.
Hmm.
Because the ship was they're right, because they left them without a hyperdrive and the ship's right behind them, so they're going to end up somewhere.
But you have to think about it from a themes perspective, because ultimately the theme of episode 6 was redemption.
Mm-hmm.
So how is that going to play into it?
I don't know. I can't wait for next
Is the
week.
redemption going to be for Reva? Is Reva going to...
Well, that's what I was thinking. I think the redemption is going to be for Reva, because I mean, I think Vader will have a setback, but that'll make him sort of refigure like his
it would be
life choices.
It would be kind of cool if Reva comes up and it's like, okay, let's take them together, and it's like a 2v1 like with Darth Maul in episode 1.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know. I mean, that's the exciting thing. Even though we know how sort of everything else plays out, we don't know how this is going to play out, and that's the coolest thing about these new stories, is not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah. I think we're all shocked that it followed Leia instead of Luke, and I think now we're all happy that it did. I think it was a good choice, a smart choice, and they did it. They fooled us right up until the beginning. So good job. All right, guys, that's our review of Obi-Wan Episode 5. 1 week until the finale of this first season. We hope first season. Hope many seasons to come. Because damn you, Ewan, you teased us. You McGregor, you. So now we want more, and of course we want Vader. So, oh goodness gracious, there'll be a lot to talk about next week. Christopher Slapman, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us. It's always fun.
All right, leave your comments. Jinx, you'll be a beer. You'll be too. Leave your comments down below. All right, guys, let's say good night.
Good night, Jinx.